What is going on, everybody? I wanted to do one last quick video to address this breaking news. Probably should have put that in the title because it is breaking. That a lot of people were not hip to. Give me a second. Let me share this. A lot of people were not aware of this. Let me share this to Twitter so everybody can. Bong bong. All right. So, Elizabeth Warren, in true blue Elizabeth Warren fashion, has decided to introduce legislation, conveniently enough, or not introduce legislation, of course. Why would she shouldn't do that? She introduced a plan. She introduced a plan that would better secure our democracy. Right before she debates the candidate who's already introduced legislation to do just that. And of course, it's better legislation. Why am I not surprised? But Elizabeth Warren, I was almost kind of had a glimmer of hope. Just a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, she's going to address election fraud and election integrity and, you know, clearly our elections are a problem. They can be rigged at any moment. The machines are trash. There's no way to verify the ballots that are counted with the machines. So these are things that you would expect Elizabeth Warren to address if she's going to try and introduce legislation separate from Tulsi Gabbard's legislation. Never mention Tulsi Gabbard's legislation. And I would expect if you're going to try and introduce an heir apparent, that it should be better. If you're not going to mention, once again, the Securing America's Elections Act. You didn't mention it 2 years ago when it was introduced. You didn't mention it a few months ago when it was introduced. You haven't mentioned it at all. You don't even reference it. You don't discuss it. So we expect it to be better, right? But fortunately for us, this is Warren. So no, we don't expect it to be better. So she says, she actually wrote a Medium article about this. Said, my plan to strengthen our democracy. Now in this article, she starts talking about how unsecure our elections is. And you're going to notice this is a pattern that Elizabeth Warren always follows when she's about to feed you some nonsense. She spent about 3 paragraphs, no, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6.5, talking about the problem. Like we don't already know the problem exists. Not saying that it's not important to talk about the problem, but the problem with Warren talking about the problem is that she always talks about the problem and then her solution doesn't really ever address the problem. And once again, of course, what does she do? Russia hacked this. Russia. Election machines can be hacked easily. It's Congress's job to protect the elections. Enough is enough. I'm a fighter. It's time to make high quality voting in the greatest democracy in the world easy, convenient, and professional. It's time to secure our elections from all other threats, foreign and domestic. Warren, have you been watching my videos? Have you been studying Tulsi Gabbard? Don't be stalking me, Warren. Let me find out. Put a restraining order on you. Don't be stalking me. Literally used words that almost the exact sequence of words that I've used and that Tulsi has used. It's time to address election security, administration problems, and voter suppression. Okay, y'all. This is where it gets good. How my plan will work. Well, for one, as usual, I will have no legislation on it, but I will talk about it all the time without ever explaining why it's taken me so long to introduce such a plan to begin with. Just kidding. That's not what she says. She starts off by saying, federal elections get state-of-the-art federal election machines and federal ballots and federal security. Why federal elections only? Well, okay, whatever. Right now, some jurisdictions use outdated machines that are easily hackable with no paper trail. Ballot designs are all over the place. No more. The federal government will replace every voting machine in the country with state-of-the-art equipment and require adoption of a uniform federal ballot. And we will lock all the federal voting technology systems behind a security firewall like it's Fort freaking Knox. That's so cute, Warren. The problem with that is you're all owned by the people who pay for these machines. And so these companies will be doing bids to get the government contract for the machines. And then whoever's in power will get to determine what these machines say in key states. That's the problem when you don't get big money out of politics, Warren, is that basically everything else falls by the wayside. Let's see what else she has to say. Federal standards for federal elections. Okay. There's some of those already, but let's see if she's going to add some substantive changes here. We have 8,000 jurisdictions running elections. Problems with resources, malfeasance, and errors are rampant. Gee, you think? No more, says Elizabeth Warren. We will have federal standards to ensure everyone can vote, including mandating automatic same-day registration. That's good. Early voting and vote by mail, so basically the same thing that we've always done except for the same-day registration. So that's actually Bernie's plan, by the way, as far as out of the candidates that are in the race. My plan will mean no arbitrary voter purges. That's actually not what her plan. Same-day registration can... What happens when you get there and they decided that you're not going to register the same day? They're going to hand you a provisional ballot. Right? And then what's going to happen? You're going to hand you a provisional ballot and the ballot's going to be destroyed. Okay. So, no more registration issues. Okay. And no more gerrymandering. That doesn't even make any sense. That actually literally makes... That's not how gerrymandering works. There's already federal standards for these type of things. And gerrymandering, that doesn't even... I don't even understand how that makes sense with gerrymandering. What the... Okay. She says we will also make Election Day a holiday. So that's Bernie's plan. The Election Day as a holiday is Bernie's plan. It's Bernie's plan. So far, she's either not changed anything or she's used someone else's plan. Again! It seems to be a consistent pattern with this woman. It never gives them credit. In the hood, we call that a swagger jacker or a biter. Ebonics 101 class. All right. So she goes on to say, I'll enforce the law and expand access through incentives where possible. Of course. And with federal authority where necessary. What? I'm confused. That should already be in your plans if you're going to run the country to enforce the federal law. Let's see what incentive. She says that my plan will give states cutting-edge voting equipment and election security protocol, all paid for by the federal government, which will be paid for by the money that the corporations who own the machines give to the federal government. States who also choose to meet these requirements. States who choose to meet these requirements. She just gave a whole paragraph about we're going to set a federal standard. We're going to streamline this process, but if you choose to follow the federal standard, we'll give you incentives. Oh my God, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? Bruh, come on. Okay. We'll give bonus and we'll give them a bonus for achieving high voter turnout rates. Okay. That's good, I guess. But the problem is the politician does not care about voter turnout rates. They care about winning. And if you're an incumbent, you're not your party knows that you're the main fundraiser if you were the incumbent. They aren't going to care. The money isn't going to be that significant. And then on top of that, you got to actually get this legislation passed, and it doesn't do anything. So it doesn't do anything. And this is the medium bar. So that means, because when you're doing legislation, by the way, you want to aim high. Then there will be some concessions made, and then you go from there. The bar that you just said is literally, you try to limbo through that. I don't care if you were our Gabby from Team USA Gymnastics. You're not going to be able to bend under the bar that Elizabeth Warren just set so incredibly low. But whatever. And where racist or corrupt politicians refuse to follow the law, the federal government will temporarily take over the administration of their federal elections to guarantee the fundamental right to vote. I don't know how I feel about that. Not that I don't like, I just don't. I understand the federal government has its place, but the federal government's corrupt. We haven't gotten big money out of politics. We saw what happened when James Comey got involved in Russiagate. We saw what happened when Andrew McCabe got involved in Russiagate, and then they brought in a federal prosecutor, a special prosecutor, Mueller, who was also tied to a bunch of special interests and conflict of interest that was brought into Russiagate, and look where we're at now. It made them, because we never had policies in place to solve the foundational issues as far as election integrity is concerned, as far as corrupt media is concerned, as far as why is it that FBI directors are appointed rather than elected if they're going to have this much outcome of this much effect on the outcome of our democracy? Why are all these things not being addressed first, or at least at the same time? So just saying we're going to bring the federal government, don't throw around the federal government word thinking that you're going to win people over. That's not how it works. Securing our elections, okay, maybe this is going to be good. Under my plan, federal elections will get state-of-the-art federal machines. Okay, if she says state-of-the-art federal machines, again, I'm going to freak out. She says federal ballots and federal security. The federal government will replace insecure and outdated systems with hand-marked, voter-verified, paper ballot machines. So close. So incredibly close. Just in case you're curious, this is not hand-marked, hand-counted, voter-verified paper ballots that have to be verified by the voter, right? Verified by the voter before they can even be registered, like in Tulsi Gabbard Securing America's Elections Act. Because she realized that she's up against corporate interests. Tulsi did. And she understands that when you're up against corporate interests, you can't just pull all the machines out. That bill will never get passed because of the lobbying, unless we somehow get big money out of politics first. But what we can do is make sure that the voter can verify that the ballots are hand counted after they are run through the machines, which Tulsi's bill does. And once again, verified by the voter. Like, she was so close. She said, federal government will replace insecure, outdated systems with hand-marked, voter-verified, paper ballot machines. So close. Oh, man. All right, let's hurry up and get done with this. To prevent hanging chads and other confusing ballot designs are not all that confusing, but okay. We'll have a uniform federal ballot access across the blah, blah, blah. Her and this federal ballot thing. Okay, so it says through new independent, secure democracy administration. There's no such thing as independent if the federal government is going to create it. I don't think that Warren knows what words mean anymore, which is weird for a Harvard-educated woman, but whatever. Which will replace the Election Assistance Commission and be staffed by civil servants. That's what the other one was staffed with. The federal government will manage the cybersecurity aspects of all elections. Oh, wow. Wow. The federal government that I just said on my last video has cyber technology where they literally said it is to prevent people like Maduro from getting elected. In other words, to control the outcome of elections. She is trying to implement a plan that would put the federal government in charge of election machines and make almost every election unchallengeable. You understand this, right? Because by the time you get to the point of being able to challenge it in a legitimate way, the federal government will step in and say, no, sorry, we verified it. It's all good. You can take our word for it. We don't cheat. We don't lie. We have no interest. And let me guess, the people who will staff this organization that Warren is going to create is going to be controlled by who? The party that's in charge at the time, like every other administration does. She does nothing. Nothing. This is nothing. This bill is not. This plan is nothing. She introduced it only because Tulsi has an election integrity plan. And shout out to Tulsi, because I'm glad that you caught this clearly, because she released a video this morning where basically it talks about how everybody's talking about Russia, and nobody, as she said in the video, everybody wants to talk about Russia hacking the elections or how unsecure our elections are, but Congress isn't doing anything except for Tulsi, who introduced security. And once again, the Congress, as in both the House and the Senate, have done nothing for 3 or 4 years since this hacking allegedly happened. Tulsi said, fine, I acknowledge that rigging happens on both sides of the house. I acknowledge that cybersecurity may be an issue. So how about we do it this way? So we never have this issue again. So we can never have any discrepancies as to whether or not someone hacked it or someone can even hack it. Let's do this. Securing America's Elections Act. Bong bong. Guess what happens? Nothing. Nobody covers it. Nobody pushes it. No progressive co-sponsors. Well, excuse me, I can't say that. Some progressives, a couple of progressives co-sponsored it, but no progressive like pushed it like you see some of these other legislation. This bill would literally make things worse. This is a prop up. She's propping herself up. TYT propped up Warren for the debates. Warren herself propping, like that was a piss poor article. Like you could tell she wrote it the night before, because she said federal standards like 8 times. She used that as a justification, like seriously, like 8 times. We're gonna do this because we're gonna make a federal standard. We're gonna make a federal standard. How have federal standards been applied as of late? Let me know. Come on. It's not even just that. Go to Google. Google Elizabeth Warren. Vox. First thing in the morning. Elizabeth Warren's 2020 presidential campaign and policy positions explained. It's crazy that this guy, Matthew Iglesias, can explain Warren's policies because Warren can't even adequately explain Warren's policies. Am I right or am I wrong? This is the shit they got. This is what I'm talking about. This is a fluff piece by the mainstream to contrast her from Tulsi. After getting elected, this is a little bit in the paragraph. You know, the beginning, you can imagine it's as bad as you think it is, but it gets worse. After getting elected in the Senate in 2012, Warren quickly made a name for herself as the major intellectual leader amongst progressives on Capitol. This girl, they done lost their mind. I'm just gonna lie in front of the American people like this. We ain't got no damn standards in journalism. Bruh, oh, I know they did not just say that. 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 Where's Warren been at on election integrity? Where's Warren been at on Medicare for all? Where's Warren been at on foreign policy? Where's she been on the Israel-Palestine conflict? Where was Warren at in 2016? Where was Warren at in Standing Rock? What the y'all, You want to know what the first thing that comes up when you Google Tulsi's name? Tulsi Gabbard insists she was never vetted for a Trump cabinet position. Report: Trump vetted Gabbard for an administrative job. Daily Beast articles. Like, that's the stuff that comes up for Tulsi. Also written within the last several hours. They're lying. I don't know what else to tell y'all. And Warren is playing the game. They just said, understand, I just want everybody to be clear about this. Bernie was in the Senate. Bernie was in the Senate, and yet Warren was the leading intellectual progressive on Capitol Hill. When Bernie was saying hold the banks accountable, Warren was wagging her finger saying, well, you all are really mean. And then, oh, by the way, made a bunch of money off of the housing crisis. Yeah, she's intellectual, all right. Oh, man. Y'all, I gotta get up out of here. I gotta get some work done, man. I'm about to... Ooh! Oh, man, Warren be getting this mainstream media, dog. Get my blood pressure up. All right. With that being said, people, make sure to check out that debate tonight. Follow me on Instagram if you want to get updates from the Instagram story about all the things that are happening. Today, a few events. I'll be speaking at a few events. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at NicoCSFB, located in, you see in the video. We're going to be posting a lot. We're going to post to the YouTube story as well. Man, what are we dealing with? What is going on right now? I can't deal with this anymore. Oh, man. Y'all share this video. Go share this video. Warren got me stressed out, but I'm ready for these debates. Tulsi, I hope you watch this. Crush her. Dismantle her. Demolish her. End her political existence. Smash her into fluffy Hawaiian